What started as a husband's daring fantasy for Valentine's Day turned into something no one expected. When she agreed, thinking it was just a one-time thrill, she never imagined the shift it would create. But as the night unfolded, lines blurred, control slipped, and an undeniable truth surfaced, one that neither she nor her husband were prepared for. Now, with their marriage hanging in the balance, one question remains. Was this a mistake or a revelation? Valentine's Day had always been special to me. Since the day I married Ryan, he never failed to make it magical. Romantic dinners, thoughtful gifts, and nights filled with passion. So when I walked into our home that evening, draped in my favorite red dress, I expected the same tradition. But something was off. Ryan was at the dining table, slowly swirling a glass of whiskey, his expression unreadable. A slow smirk played on his lips as his eyes scanned over me. "You look stunning, babe," he murmured, his voice thick with something I couldn't quite place. I smiled, stepping forward to kiss him, but he pulled back slightly. There was something in his gaze, mischief, hesitation, anticipation. "I've been thinking about something," he said, setting his glass down. "Something different." I arched a brow. "Different?" He leaned forward, brushing his fingers over mine. "A threesome." The word hit me like a slap. For a moment, I thought he was joking, but his expression didn't change. "What?" I let out a dry laugh, trying to process his words. Ryan's hand tightened around mine. "I'm serious. Think about it, babe. It's something wild, something new, and I want it for Valentine's Day." My heart pounded as I pulled my hand away. "Are you out of your mind?" Ryan sighed, rubbing his temple like I was the one being unreasonable. "Listen, we've been together for years, and I love you. But don't you ever think about spicing things up? Just once." His words sent a cold shiver through me. Of course, I had fantasies. Everyone did. But this? "Ryan," I whispered, my voice unsteady. "You're asking me to bring another woman into our bed on Valentine's Day." He leaned back, watching me carefully. "Not just any woman." I frowned. "What do you mean?" He hesitated. "I was thinking, maybe one of your friends." A wave of nausea hit me. My friends? I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. My head spun with emotions. Anger, betrayal, confusion, and something else. A whisper of a thought I didn't want to acknowledge. "You're disgusting," I spat, grabbing my purse. "I can't believe you'd even ask me that." I turned to storm upstairs, but his voice stopped me. "Just think about it, babe. One night. No strings. And if you hate the idea, I won't bring it up again." I should have slammed the bedroom door. I should have made him sleep on the couch. But instead, I sat on the edge of the bed, my heart racing. Because despite my anger, one question haunted me. If I had to choose, who would it be? And that terrified me the most. I barely slept that night. Ryan's words circled in my mind like a song stuck on repeat. A threesome, with one of my friends. I told myself I wasn't even considering it. That I was disgusted, offended, furious. But if that was true, why couldn't I stop thinking about it? The next morning, I moved through my routine like nothing was wrong. Making coffee, scrolling through my phone, pretending not to notice Ryan watching me from across the kitchen. He didn't say anything about it. Didn't push. And that made it worse. It felt like he knew I was thinking about it. By noon, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my phone and typed out a message. "Me. Need to talk. Can we meet?" "Emily." "Oh, sounds serious. Wine or coffee?" "Me, wine. Definitely wine." Emily was my closest friend, the kind of woman who turned heads when she walked into a room. Beautiful, confident, effortlessly sexy. She had always been a little wilder than me, the one who made reckless choices and never regretted them. If anyone could hear me out without judgment, it was her. That evening, we met at a cozy little wine bar downtown. The dim lighting, the soft music, it was the perfect setting for secrets. Emily took one look at my face and smirked. "Okay, what did Ryan do?" I hesitated, then took a deep breath. "He asked me for a threesome." Her eyes widened before she burst out laughing. "Shut up, Ryan. You're Ryan." I nodded, taking a long sip of my wine. "Well, damn," she said, swirling her glass. "Didn't see that coming." "Yeah, me neither." She leaned in, suddenly curious. "And what did you say?" I told him he was disgusting. That it was crazy. Emily tilted her head. "But you're still thinking about it." I looked away. "I don't know," I admitted. "It's just, he made it sound so casual. Like it wasn't a big deal." Emily studied me for a moment. Then a slow smile spread across her lips. And do you think it's a big deal? I let out a shaky breath. Of course I do. She sipped her wine, eyes playful. Maybe it could be. I blinked. What? She shrugged. Look, I'm not saying you should do it. But maybe you should ask yourself why you haven't completely shut the idea down. Her words sent a shiver down my spine. Emily leaned back, tapping her nails against her glass. Besides, it depends on who the third person is, right? Some stranger? Definitely weird. But someone you trust, she smirked. That's a different story. My stomach twisted. Was she suggesting what I thought she was? Before I could ask, my phone buzzed. Ryan, dinner tonight? Just us. Let's talk. I sighed, setting my phone down. He wants to talk. Emily grinned, raising her glass. Well, you better figure out what you want to say. I walked into the house that evening, my heart pounding. Ryan had set the dining table with candles and wine, an attempt to soften the tension hanging between us. He pulled out my chair, his touch lingering on my arm as I sat down. Did you think about it? He asked, voice careful. I swallowed hard. Yes. His grip on his wine glass tightened slightly. And I took a deep breath. If I say yes, I have conditions. His eyes darkened, a flicker of something unreadable passing through them. Tell me. I force myself to stay calm. I choose who. I control what happens. And if I change my mind at any point, it's over. Ryan nodded slowly, his voice low. Deal. I hesitated, my pulse racing as I spoke the next words, the words that would change everything. I choose Emily. Ryan froze. For a second, he looked almost surprised, like he hadn't expected me to actually name someone. I expected him to argue, to hesitate, but instead, he let out a slow breath and nodded. Okay. I wasn't sure if I felt relief or regret. The days leading up to that night were strange. Tense. Ryan acted lighter, almost excited. But I was a mess of nerves, battling emotions I couldn't explain. Fear, anticipation, guilt, and something deeper, something I wasn't ready to name. Emily, on the other hand, was completely at ease. She smirked when I told her. Knew it. I rolled my eyes. You knew what? She shrugged. That it was gonna be me. I swallowed, gripping my wine glass. Are you sure about this? Emily leaned in, her voice softer now. The real question is, are you? I wasn't. Not even a little. But I was already too far in. Ryan booked a luxury hotel suite downtown. When we stepped inside, I felt the weight of it all crashing down on me. Rose petals on the bed. A bottle of champagne chilling on the table. Dimmed lights that cast shadows along the walls. Emily chuckled as she looked around. Wow, you really went all out, huh? Ryan smirked. Only the best for my wife. I reached for the champagne, needing something to dull the nerves. Ryan poured 3 glasses, his fingers brushing mine as he handed me one. To new experiences, he toasted. Emily clinked her glass against his. Then mine. I hesitated before doing the same. The night started slow, drinks, laughter, playful teasing. But beneath it all, there was a charge in the air, thick and dangerous. Then Ryan made his move. He pulled me close, his lips grazing my ear. Relax, babe. Just enjoy this. I tried. I really did. But the moment Emily's fingers brushed my skin, a shiver ran through me. Not from fear. Not from discomfort. From something else. Something I wasn't ready to admit. Ryan didn't notice. He was too lost in his own fantasy. But I did. And so did Emily. She leaned in, whispering against my skin. Breathe, sweetheart. And I did. But it wasn't Ryan who made my heart race. It wasn't Ryan who set my skin on fire. It was her. And in that moment, I knew this wasn't just about Ryan's fantasy anymore. It was something else entirely. The night blurred into sensations I couldn't explain, emotions I couldn't control. But at some point, something shifted. Ryan noticed it too. The way I responded, the way my body reacted, the way my focus had shifted. He was no longer in control. I was. And for the first time, I saw something in his eyes that I never expected. Jealousy. Ryan had wanted this to be about him, about his fantasy. But it wasn't. Not anymore. And deep down, I think Emily had known it from the start. Maybe that's why she kept meeting my gaze instead of his. Why her fingers lingered a little longer on my skin. Why her whispers weren't just playful but deliberate, like she was letting me in on a secret. And the most terrifying part? I let her. At some point, Ryan sat back, watching, waiting, like he wasn't sure if he should interrupt or let it play out. His fantasy was unfolding right in front of him, but not in the way he expected. Because he was the outsider now. I could feel it. And so could he. It wasn't about him anymore. And when I met his gaze, I saw it. That flicker of doubt, of realization, of something neither of us had anticipated. This wasn't just about trying something new. Something had changed, and neither of us knew what to do about it. Hours later, the room was silent except for our heavy breathing. The air was thick with the weight of what had just happened. Ryan lay beside me, staring at the ceiling, lost in thought. Emily smirked, stretching like a cat that had just won a game. And me? I wasn't sure who I was anymore. I pulled the sheets over me, trying to process everything. The warmth of the champagne still buzzed in my system, but the clarity of the moment was undeniable. I had crossed a line, one I didn't even know existed before tonight. Ryan finally spoke, his voice quiet, almost hesitant. That was different. Emily let out a low chuckle, clearly amused. You could say that. But Ryan wasn't laughing. He turned to me, searching for something in my expression. Are you okay? Was I? I nodded. But even I wasn't sure if it was the truth. Because deep down I knew. This wasn't just about a wild night. This was about what came next. And I wasn't sure we'd ever be the same again. Ryan shifted beside me, his body tense. His hand hovered near mine like he wanted to touch me, but didn't know if he should. I could feel the questions hanging between us. Did I regret it? Did he? I turned my head slightly, catching a glimpse of Emily. She didn't look guilty, or unsure, or tangled up in the storm of emotions like Ryan and I were. She just looked satisfied, like she knew something we didn't. And maybe she did. Because as I lay there, staring at the ceiling, one thought clung to my mind, refusing to let go. This wasn't just a one-time thing. It wasn't just a mistake. Something had shifted inside me, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to go back. The morning after was eerily silent. Ryan and I barely spoke as we left the hotel. The ride home was filled with forced small talk and awkward glances, like two strangers pretending nothing had happened. But something had happened. Something I couldn't take back. At first, I thought it was just the guilt. The strangeness of crossing a boundary I never thought I would. But as the hours passed, I realized it wasn't just that. It was the fact that I hadn't done it for Ryan. I had done it for me. And that was the problem. For the next few days, Ryan acted different. Not angry. Not distant. Just off. He was watching me. Studying me. Like he was trying to figure out what had changed. And the worst part? I didn't have an answer. I wasn't sure who I was anymore. One night had rewritten the rules of our marriage. Ryan had wanted excitement, something to shake things up, but I had found something else. Something deeper. And I knew he could feel it. A few nights later, we sat on the couch in silence. The TV was on, but neither of us were really watching it. The tension between us had thickened, pressing down on the space between us like a weight we couldn't ignore anymore. Ryan finally broke the silence. Did you enjoy it? I swallowed. Did you? He didn't answer right away. Instead, he swirled the whiskey in his glass, his jaw tightening slightly. I thought I would, he admitted. But something changed. I felt my pulse quicken. What do you mean? He turned to face me fully, his expression unreadable. It wasn't about me, was it? I froze. This was the moment. The one I had been dreading. Because he was right. Ryan had wanted a fantasy where he was the center of attention. But the second Emily touched me, the second she whispered in my ear, the second I let myself go, everything shifted. He saw it. He felt it. And now we were here, staring at each other in a quiet house, pretending we didn't already know the truth. I looked away. I don't know what to say. Ryan let out a slow, measured breath. Do you have feelings for her? My stomach twisted. I opened my mouth to say no, to lie, but I couldn't. Instead, I whispered, I don't know. The moment the words left my lips, I saw it. The flicker of pain in his eyes. The way his fingers curled into a fist before he forced himself to relax. And just like that, the damage was done. Emily, of course, acted like nothing had changed. Men always think they can handle it, she said over coffee a few days later. Until they realize they're not the ones in control. I sighed, stirring my drink. Ryan isn't angry. He's just confused. Emily smirked. And you? I hesitated. I don't know. She reached across the table, brushing her fingers over mine. Yes, you do. A shiver ran through me. Because deep down I did know. And that was the real betrayal. Not the act, but what it meant. That night, Ryan and I lay in bed, both pretending to be lost in our phones. The silence between us was suffocating. Then, Finally, he spoke. Would you do it again? I turned to him, my heart pounding. Do you want to? He exhaled, setting his phone down. Not if it means losing you. I swallowed hard, my chest tightening. I didn't know how to respond to that. Because the truth was, I didn't know if we had already lost each other. Days passed, but the tension between us didn't fade. If anything, it grew. Ryan and I functioned like a normal couple on the surface. Morning coffee, small talk, the occasional smile. But underneath, we were unraveling. Every touch felt hesitant. Every kiss felt like a question neither of us wanted to answer. Then, one evening, Ryan asked me the one thing I wasn't ready for. If I hadn't suggested it, would you have ever realized you wanted this? I sucked in a breath, my fingers tightening around my glass. I didn't answer, because we both knew the truth. I found myself thinking about Emily more than I should have. How easy she made everything seem. How certain she was, while I was drowning in doubt. I met her for lunch a few days later, though I wasn't sure why. I don't know what to do, I admitted, staring down at my untouched salad. Emily sipped her wine, watching me with a knowing smile. You do. I shook my head. Ryan asked for this, she interrupted. He just didn't expect this to happen. I let out a dry laugh. Neither did I. She reached across the table, tracing a slow line across the back of my hand. My breath hitched. You can pretend all you want, she murmured, voice low. But you're not confused, sweetheart. I swallowed hard. Because the moment she touched me, the moment her skin met mine, the answer was there, and it terrified me. That night, Ryan and I sat in bed, the weight of unspoken words pressing between us. I thought about lying, pretending everything was fine, that I hadn't been shaken by what had happened. But I was tired of pretending, so I turned to him and whispered the truth. I don't think I can go back. Ryan stilled, his breathing slowing. Then, finally, he nodded. I know. His voice was quiet, resigned, like he had already accepted something I hadn't yet. Maybe we had lost each other that night. Or maybe I had just found myself. Would love to hear your thoughts. Did this version capture the depth and emotion you wanted? The end.